Hi guys. Alright, so we've gone through the vocabulary that was done in class already, so now we're going to do some practice problems. I'm going to start with the homework assignment number 1 that we did earlier this week. So there are the starting problems. If you don't remember, okay? If you want, you can go ahead and pause the video, or step away, write it down somewhere else so that you can have a chance to practice before I show you. I'm ready to show you right now, okay? Here we go. Alright, so the first one has 2 points. The first point is 3/8. The second point is 0.3. Alright, so we're going to start with the midpoint formula. We're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one is which. Just pick one and stick with that one. Alright, so I'm going to have my big parenthesis, and I've got the formulas over here as well, just so you remember them. So I've got x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So I'm going to go with x1 and x2 right here. So 3 plus 0 divided by 2. And 8 plus 3 divided by 2. That's the setup. That's all there is to it. You have your formula, you plug your numbers into your formula, and just do the math. 3 plus 0 is 3, divided by 2 is 3/2. 8 plus 3 is 11, divided by 2 is 11/2. Now you can choose to leave it like this for now, or you can choose to put it into decimal form if you'd like. So that's the first problem. So the first answer to the problem that I would accept from you is 3/2, comma, 11/2. Also the same as 1.5 and 5.5. Next problem, -2, 4, and 4, -2. Again, I'll label which one is the first and which one is the second. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. I plug it into my formula. So I've got -2 plus 4 divided by 2, and 4 plus a -2 divided by 2. Alright, so a -2 plus 4 is a +2 divided by 2. 4 plus a -2 is 2 divided by 2. So 1, 1. Nice little face. Alright, so we can make our comma a little smaller there. But the midpoint for these two different coordinates, remember these are called coordinates, when it has an x and a y value, that is a coordinate. -2, 4, and 4, -2 is 1, 1. So this point is exactly between both of those 2 points. My next set of points. -1, -5, and -3, -9. Exact same setup. We're still going to find our midpoint. 1 plus a -3 divided by 2, comma, -5 plus a -9 divided by 2. We do our math. 1 plus a -3 is -2 divided by 2. -5 plus a -9 is a -14 divided by 2. Our answer is -1, -7. Right there, that's all I want. When I ask for a midpoint, I'm asking for a single point between the two coordinates that I gave you. here everywhere. Just like a dog. Okay, so next up, we're going to do distance formula. So we take our first 2 points. 3, 8, and 0, 3 is our distance formula. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it just so we can definitely see it. I've got x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Again, I'm going to signify which ones are which. I can pick either one. It does not matter, but I need to stick with that one the entire way through the problem. So I'm going to say x1, y1, x2, y2. So this is our square root, so I can go ahead and draw that back in. My first set of parentheses, x2 is over here. It's a 0. Minus x1 over here, 3 squared, plus y2 is 3 minus 8 squared. Now it's just math. I've set up my formula, I've plugged in my given coordinates into my formula, and all I have to do now is math. So now I have 0 minus 3 is a negative 3. Squared means you multiply it by itself. So if it's a negative 3, then it's negative 3 times negative 3. A negative times a negative cancel each other's out, or it creates a positive. So I have positive 9 plus 3 minus 8 is negative 5. It's squared, so again, a negative times a negative is a positive. So I have a positive 25. Alright, so now I just add these two together, and I come up with 34. Now, I need to see if I can factor anything out of this. So I do my factor tree, right? So we have our factor tree over here. What times what equals 34? Well, 17 times 2 equals 34. And that's as far as I can break that down because 17 is a prime number and 2 is a prime number. So, to get this, to take a number out of the square root, I have to have 2 of it. Remember, you always have to have 2 to take out 1. So this is as far as I can break this down, so I can't take anything out of the square root sign. And that's my answer. And that is all that I want you to write down. So there's the first one. So I'll go ahead and leave my formula up there so I don't have to rewrite it. Take my second point, negative 2, 4, and 4, negative 2. This is going to be my first set, so x1, y1, x2, y2. It's a y. I promise, it's a y. Alright, so I have my formula. I'm going to plug in now my x2 over here, so I have 4 minus a negative 2, so minus a negative. The entire thing, so see how I have my smaller set of parentheses within another set of parentheses? The entire quantity is squared. Now I'm going to go to my y's, so I have a negative 2 inside parentheses minus a 4. Entire quantity squared. Now remember, a negative minus a negative is a positive. Imagine there's a little 1 right up here, and I'm telling you to take a negative 1 times a negative 2. Negative times a negative is a positive. So really I have 4 plus 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 4 squared. Still inside the square root sign. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Plus a negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. If you square it, that's 36. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So now I have 36 plus 36, which is 72. So over here I'm going to do my factor tree. I'm going to do it over here. Okay. So I'm going to do my factor tree over here. So I've got 72. 9 times 8 is 72. 3 times 3. Still see that? There we go. So 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 2 is 4. So my results here are, I have a set of 3s, a set of 2s, and a single 1. So I have 2, that means I can take it out, because remember the square root, there's actually this little unseen 2 sign there. Because it wants 2 of something. You have to take 2 out to clear the way. Okay? It's like playing the toll of the bridge. I want 2 coins, or you're not getting through. Okay, so I've got a 3, and I can take out a 2 because I have 2 of both of them. So I have the square root of 72 is equal to, here's my 1, 3, here's my 1, 2, and I still have that single 2 because I only have 1. I can't take it out from under the square root sign. And whatever I take out, I multiply by it. So I have a 6 here, square root of 2. That's my answer. 6 square root of 2. Because I was able to take out a 3 from my pair, right? So I have a pair of something, I can take 1 out, just 1. Here's my pair of 2, so I can take out 1, 2, and anything I take out, I multiply over here. So that is the second problem on the homework. Move that out. There we go. There's that. Good thing I have my trusty eraser. Okay, so last problem for our distance formulas. I have points 1, -5, and -3, -9. I'm not going to rewrite the distance formula this time. So you need to remember it, or you need to have it written down separately if you need to look back at it. So just remember the second minus the first squared, plus the second minus the first squared. And for both points, and that's it. That's all you got. Alright, so here's my square root sign. So I'm going to say this is x2 and y2, x1 and y1, because I still need to decide which ones are going to be my points. So I know I need x2 first, so I have a -3 minus 1, quantity squared. And I say quantity again because everything inside here is going to be squared. It's not just one number. I'm not going to say that number squared. I'm going to say the quantity. Whatever's inside the parentheses is going to be squared. So plus, here's my -9 minus -5 squared. So here I just have a -3 minus 1. -3 minus 1 is -4 squared plus, now over here, remember I have this imaginary 1 here, so I have -1 times a -5. So I actually have -9 plus 5. Doesn't look very good. That just looks silly. Silly. I'm going to say I have a -9 plus 5 squared. -9 plus 5 is -4. So now I have two -4s squared. We've already decided that a negative times a negative, because this is going to be the same number times itself because it's squared. A negative times a negative is positive. 4 times 4 is 16. So I've got the square root of 16 plus, it's the exact same number, so it's plus 16. 16 plus 16 is 32. Factor tree. No. So I've got 32. What times what is 32? So I'm going to say 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 2 is 8. And 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, there's that. And then a little. There we go. Alright, so here's a set, and here's a set, and here's a lonesome. So I can take out 1, 2 here, because I have a pair. I can take out one of these pairs. So I'm going to have, over here, I'm going to have 2 times 2 square root of 2. My answer is 4 square root of 2. That is my answer. That is the distance. So we've got 2 square root of 2. There we go. So this is the distance from this point to this point on the coordinate plane. So when we have that big graph looking thing, and I drew all those lines all over the place, and it looked really funny, and I was like, this is ugly, I'm going to draw a pretty one, and I left my pretty one up all day. That's what I'm talking about, coordinate plane. So this is a point on that plane, and this is a point on that plane, and this is the distance from one point to the other. Alright. Now, don't forget, that is the midpoint and distance formula. You need to memorize those as much as possible. Alright, you need to know which one is which, and you need to understand the concept that midpoint, you're dividing it by 2, so you're taking that line and you're creating that bisector. You're cutting it exactly in half. Okay? And with the distance formula, you're actually measuring from one point to the other. I hope this helped, and I'll make some more videos in a minute. Bye, guys.